Hello, and thanks again for joining us for another avian home adventure. Today we're hanging out on this rainy day with one of our golden eagles. This golden eagle is named Noble. And as you can see, she is a very noble bird, right? Her name fits her personality very, very well. She's a big, regal bird.
She's hiding perfectly behind the stump now. As soon as we start that's a little bit better. So McKenna and I have put her lunch out on this long perch that's a little bit in front of her. So hopefully she'll come down and enjoy a little snack with us. It might take her a little bit to do so. It's been raining on and off, and so we've noticed that when it does, our birds don't seem to have too much of an appetite. When it's raining like this outside, you'll notice less activity with a lot of birds, especially raptors, because they really just want to huddle down and sit perched on a tree or hide into a cavity if they're an owl, and take this time to conserve energy and just hang out. When it rains, it can be a little difficult for them to fly and move around. So even though their feathers do have a weatherproofing or a waterproofing layer on them, it still can weigh them down a little bit and make them either noisier to fly if they're an owl, or just harder in general, causing a lot of effort because that water will weigh them down a little bit. I might be able to zoom in on her since she's deciding to stay over there.
So again, this is a golden eagle, and when she turns her head the other way, you can see why she gets that name. She has some beautiful golden feathers that are on the back of her neck, giving her the golden eagle name. It's a lot easier to see when the sun is out, and when the sun hits those feathers just right, it really is a beautiful golden color. These guys often get confused with juvenile bald eagles because their bodies are both brown and they're both really big birds. But one of the ways you can tell the difference is by that golden neck. The bald eagles don't have any golden feathers. They are just brown with a little bit of white speckled in on their feathers. Another way to tell the difference between golden and bald eagles is if you get a good look at their legs. Golden eagles have feathers that go all the way down their legs, whereas the bald eagles have bare legs. You can see the skin on their legs. And that's because bald eagles like to go fishing. When you stick your legs in the water, you don't want to get any feathers wet, because again, when the feathers get wet, they get to catch fish with. Whereas the golden eagle, like this lovely lady, she prefers to hunt more around cliffs and mountains and bluffs. And she's mainly going to be hunting mammals, so she's not too worried about getting those feathers wet, so she has feathers that go all the way down her legs.
That was a cool little tail shake she just did. I don't know if you saw that. That was really neat.
We are also working on getting our trail back into shape for hopefully when we open soon. So there's a little bit of hammering going on, and so she's very curious to see what's going on in some of the enclosures behind her, kind of figuring out where the noise is coming from, all the racket.
I think she's noticed the rat on the perch, but she's wanting a little bit more space from us right now, which is okay. Hopefully she'll come down and eat, but she might not. She might need to wait till later, when all of the construction is done and we're out of here. You guys will notice her moving her head around a lot, and a little bit of almost like an up and down kind of head bob, and so they can really pinpoint in on what they're looking at by doing that. You'll see that a lot with birds like kestrels, just like a head bob, and with owls, mostly side to side, but they're usually listening. So for our diurnal or our daytime birds, they'll move around their head like that so they can get a visual of something better, or if they're nocturnal like our owls, then they'll do a side to side for their hearing. Hi Valerie, she has a question. So what is the golden eagle's average lifespan?
Ooh, that's a good question. So a general rule of thumb with raptors is the bigger the bird, the longer the lifespan. So golden eagles actually can live into their 20s and even their 30s out in the wild, which is pretty old for a bird. And so they can live for a long time out in the wild. And here at the Raptor Center and other zoological facilities, we can actually double to triple that. These guys get vitamins and calcium, and they have a roof over their head to protect them from the elements. They also have the unlimited healthcare plan at our rehab center. So if they do get sick, we can take them to our rehab staff, who are excellent at their jobs, and they can take care of our birds right away. Whereas out in the wild, they don't have a doctor to go to if they do get sick. So here we can prevent any sort of disease that may come around.
And oddly enough, the question came up, how old is she? And is she a permanent resident? Yes, she is a permanent resident. She's been here for a good portion of her life. And she is about 9 years old. So she's still very young in the scheme of how long our resident birds here can live. And she's a pretty healthy bird.
So for those of you tuning in, I want you guys to answer this question in the comments. I want you guys to take a guess at how fast you think she can fly. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to answer the question, but I would love you guys to post in the comments if you guys can take a guess at how fast you think that golden eagles, such as this lovely lady, can fly. There's no right or wrong guesses. It's just a fun little game.
Okay, we have one guess, 80 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour. Any other guesses? $120 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour. All right.
Thank you for your guys' guesses. I appreciate. We had one guess that was actually pretty close. Golden eagles have been clocked going 150 miles an hour. 150, which is so crazy to me. When we think of birds that can fly really, really fast, we generally think of the falcons. We don't think of these large soaring birds. But these guys like to perch on cliffs, and as you can see, she's preening herself on the tallest perch.
That's so cool. So what she just did was a rouse.
Goodness.
So there's a couple of reasons a bird might rouse. So we like to think of it as a sign of comfort, really just like a big exhale, resetting their feathers. They'll do it a lot after a flight or even sometimes before a flight to just reposition those feathers. And they can use it to release trapped air. So a lot of times in the colder times of the year, you'll see birds that look a little bit puffier. So they trap air and they heat it up, and then to cool off, they'll push all the air out. So that was really cool behavior that we got to see from her. And that preening, that's another self-care kind of behavior that would indicate that she's fairly comfortable or content right now, which I think is really cool to see up close.
Yes. So going back to the speed, these guys like to perch on cliffs, the high perching, and then they use gravity to help them build the speeds of up to 150 miles an hour. So these guys will look for food on the ground, and then they can get some really fast speeds to knock an animal down. These guys will even chase goats, like mountain goats, off of cliffs, and so these guys are pretty extreme and awesome hunters. So again, pretty surprising. I was pretty surprised when I heard how fast these guys can go. But these guys are actually more agile than the bald eagles are, so they can reach those fast speeds and maintain control.
Again, she is a golden eagle, and she's at a really great position to see some of the sunlight coming in through the clouds, to see that really like bronze or golden color on the back of her neck. You'll see it better when she turns her head a little bit. If you guys have any questions for us, feel free to pop those in the chat. We'll try to get to them during this video, and if not, we'll try to answer those after we post our live video on Facebook. Sometimes she has this cardinal friend who'll come in here and hang out. I'm not really sure what he does, but I see him in here all the time. I'm surprised he's not around, but he'll come in and just kind of hang out with her, and she'll watch him. So I've noticed that with a lot of our eagles too. It's pretty funny to see them kind of interact with our wildlife around here. It's probably enriching for both parties.
One of our resident red-tailed hawks, we caught her following a dung beetle as he was pushing his ball of dung across her enclosure. She would watch it and kind of follow along behind it, just kind of curious to see what that dung beetle was doing. So it's kind of nice having nature and the natural environment be our birds' enrichment sometimes. So they definitely are very curious and will check out new things that pop into their enclosures.
We have a question. What's her wingspan?
Ooh, what's her wingspan? So with eagles, they can have wingspans 6 feet, and with the females, they can get a little bit bigger than that too. So pretty big wingspan for a big, powerful bird.
I have a fun question for you guys in chat. How much do you think that she weighs? Every guess is a good guess, so feel free to put those in the comment section.
To help you guys out a little bit, when she stands, she is close to the height of my knee. And I'm 5'7", so I'm pretty average height.
A couple of guesses coming in. 3.5 pounds, 6 pounds, 45 pounds. We'll give you guys a little bit more time, and we'll reveal the answer. She is no longer interested that we are in here.
Yeah, she's like, there's so many more other interesting things going on. That sounds like her cardinal friend.
It might be.
He's more interested that we're in here than she is.
10 pounds, good guess. So she weighs on average about, I would say about 13 pounds, which is pretty heavy for a bird. Her and we have another golden eagle that are about the same. The other one, Sequoia, might be a little larger, but they're pretty hefty birds. So that would mean that it would take a lot of lift, a lot of power to fly. So that's why a lot of birds, like golden eagles, will often live on cliffs or on mountainsides. So they really can jump off and use that to help them get up in the air a lot easier. No. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, McKenna.
So what she's doing now, she looks a little bit goofy. She's trying to dry her wing feathers a little bit. It was rainy and the sun's coming out, so she's trying to hold her feathers in a position that lets them air out a little bit. That's why it looks like she's shrugging. She's trying to just air out those feathers.
We're seeing a lot of interesting behavior while we're sitting in here.
Yeah, she looks like she has bad posture, but this is okay. A little bit of air drying. Ooh, that's a good shot of those golden feathers where she gets her name. You can see a little bit more bronze of a color, more caramel, more golden.
Ooh, okay. Another question. Would a golden eagle attack a small dog or cat for food, or only if they are protecting a nest?
That is a good question. So we actually do get that question a lot. So again, she weighs about, would you say 13 pounds?
Probably about 13 pounds.
And with raptors, they can only carry off about a third of their body weight. So I'm not good at mental math. I don't know what that is, but a lot of the times the cats and the dogs weigh more than what that is. Golden eagles also are usually not found where a lot of people are found. They prefer to be mostly out in the wild with undisturbed areas. And so with these guys, they generally don't go after pets. Pets are also very healthy and they will fight back. They can run really fast, and these guys would rather go after something that's a little bit easier to kill. So if they're defending a nest, they do get a little bit territorial, but again, they'd rather go after something that's a little bit easier to catch, so they don't use as much energy.
All right, guys, we're going to sign off in just a few seconds, so we'll give you a couple more moments to just enjoy watching her.
All right, we appreciate all of your support. Hopefully we can see all of you guys in person soon. But until then, join us again tomorrow for another Avian Home Adventures.
Thank you, guys.